Hello everyone. In the previous session, we have discussed about the different types of animal tissue culture. In today's session, we will see about the cell growth and cell viability of animal cell culture. Let us begin with cell growth. The growth of a cells in the culture have a separate pattern. Usually, it is three phases: lag phase, log phase, and plateau phase. This log phase is also called as exponential phase. The population doubling time can be calculated from these two phases, log phase and plateau phase. This is critical and can be used to quantify the response of the culture to different situations. For example, changes in the medium requirements and the effects of hormones and toxic components. Population doubling time describes the growth of cells within the culture. Also, this population doubling time is influenced greatly by non-growing and dying cells. Let us see about the phases of growth curve. Population doubling time, lag time, and saturation density of a particular cell line can be established and characterized for a particular cell type. Growth curve consists of normal culture and can be divided into three phases, as I said earlier: lag phase, log phase, and plateau phase. Let us see about lag phase. This lag phase is the initial growth phase of a culture in which cell population takes time to recover after reseeding. The cell number remains constant before rapid division occurs. The cell in this phase replaces the elements of a glycocalyx lost during trypsinization. The cell attaches to the substrate, spreads out. During the spreading process, cytoskeleton reappears. Indeed, this reappearance may be considered as an integral part of the progress. Then we see about log phase. This log phase is a period where exponential increase in cell number and cell population occurs due to continuous cell division. The length of a log phase depends on the initial seeding density, the growth rate of cells, and the density at which the cell proliferation is inhibited by the density. This log phase represents most reproducible form of culture in which growth fraction and viability is very high, close to 90 to 100%, and that the cell at this stage are at its most uniform. However, the cells may not be synchronized and the cell population can be randomly distributed in the cell cycle. Let us see about the plateau phase. In plateau phase, the cell cultures are confluent, the cell division is reduced, and the cell proliferation is ceased due to exhaustion. The cells are in contact with the surrounding cells and the growth surface is occupied. The cell population is entered into the stationary phase and the growth fraction is about 0 to 10%. In this phase, there is a chance of changes in the constitution and the charge of a cell surface. Also, there is a possible increase in the synthesis of new structural versus specialized proteins. Now, we see about monitoring the cell growth. Animal cell culture can be grown for a wide variety of cell-based assays to investigate morphology, protein expression, cell density, differentiation, toxicity, and apoptosis in different environments. Product yield can be increased if we monitor the cell growth at regular interval. Also, it also helps to know about the cell stage and their healthiness. Also, monitoring the cell at regular interval gives the time at which the cell reaches their maximal cell density. Small changes in the pH, temperature, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and dissolved nutrients will have great impact on the maximal cell growth. Now, we see about the characteristics of animal cell cultures. Animal cell cultures have unique properties and they differ from microbial cell cultures. Some examples are: animal cell cultures are very slow in growth rate and they need solid substrate, then only adherent cell cultures will grow, and they lack cell wall, so they are prone to fragility and they are sensitive to physicochemical conditions such as pH, CO2, etc. Some fundamental bioprocess variables are temperature, pH and oxygen. Now we see about the temperature. Temperature is one of the most fundamental variables as it directly interferes with the cell growth and production processes. On a small scale, thermostatically controlled incubators can be used to control the temperature. However, cells grown in bioreactor need specific temperature control. Different bioreactors used different methods to control the temperature. In bioreactors, temperature can be maintained by heat blanket and water jacket with a temperature sensor. Now we see about pH. The pH of the cell culture medium is maintained by adding either alkaline or acid solutions. In bioreactor, we can introduce carbon dioxide or sodium bicarbonate to maintain the pH of the cell culture medium. Also, we can use any natural buffer solutes to maintain the pH of the medium. A silver chloride electrochemical type pH electrode is mostly used in the bioreactors. Now we see about oxygen. Oxygen has to be supplied continuously to cell culture medium in a dissolved format. It is consumed with a carbon source in aerobic cultures. Dissolved oxygen can be provided via liquid surface or membrane to the culture medium. The growth of mammalian cells can be monitored by a number of parameters related to the increase in the cellular biomass over time. The simplest method is cell counting at regular interval. In routine culture, cell counting is performed once a day. This gives us the knowledge about population doubling time of the mammalian cells at the exponential growth phase. More frequent countings can be performed to study the subtle changes associated with the cell growth cycle. Now we will see about direct and indirect cell counting methods. Direct cell counting methods that are used routinely or depend upon visual examination through microscope or image analysis or electronically by particle counter. In direct cell counting, it is important to obtain a sample of even distribution of samples in a suspension. Therefore, it is important to ensure that cell culture is well mixed by shaking or stirring before taking a sample. Now, in recent years, the recent technology introduced in this direct cell counting is in situ probes, which allow us to monitor the cell biomass during ongoing process. In this, we don't need to withdraw the sample and hence better control of biomass is possible. Now we see about indirect method of cell growth. Indirect method of cell growth is done by estimating the intracellular protein or DNA or alternatively extracellular damage such as nutrition depletion or enzyme activity secreted by cells. In this indirect method, it is important to have a relationship between the parameters measured and cell concentration. However, it is important to realize that the relationship is rarely linear over the course of culture. It is well documented that the total protein content and enzyme activity measured on a per cell basis is vary substantially over the course of culture due to the changes occur in the growth rate as well as the composition of the culture medium. Now we see some examples for direct cell counting methods. Direct cell counting methods include cell counting by hemocytometer, nuclei counting by hemocytometer, nuclei counting in macroporous microcarriers, image analysis, particle counter, online cell concentration determination by biomass monitor, online fluorescence probes and dielectrophoretic cytometer. The indirect method of measuring cell counting include determining DNA, determining the protein and determining the glucose level. Now we will see about the cell viability. The cell viability is a measure of the metabolic state of the cell population, which is the indicative of the ability of the cell population for the growth. The number of viable cells provide accurate indication of the health of the cell culture. The more simplest assay includes dye exclusion, which is the indicative of the ability of the cell membrane to exclude dye. Indeed, this protocol can be utilized in microscopic cell counting and image analysis. More sophisticated measures include cells' ability to synthesize DNA and protein. Further metabolic assay involves the determination of intracellular adenylate nucleotide concentration, which gives the determination of energy change, which is actually the indicator of a metabolic status of the cells. Viability is a good indicator of the metabolic state of the cell population. However, the definition of the viability varies depends upon the assays used. Probably the most widely used viability assay is trypan blue exclusion. However, it has been shown to overestimate viability. However, in bioprocess control, it is advantage to keep the cells healthy and active for extended period to increase volumetric productivity. To monitor the induction of apoptosis is a good way to monitor the cell health. Apoptosis is defined as programmed cell death which is triggered by external stimuli including oxidative stress and nutrient limitation. Although there are biochemical and morphological assays exist, flow cytometer has become prevalent detection method because it is very rapid and sensitive. The calculation for viable cells is as follows. Viability index is equal to number of viable cells divided by total number of cells multiplied into 100. There are many types of viability measurement assays. For example, dye exclusion assay, tetrasolium assay, colony forming assay, lactate dehydrogenase determination assay and rate of protein synthesis assay. Now we see about apoptosis detection assays. Apoptotic detection is a measure of number of cells undergoing different stages of apoptosis, which include early, mid and late stages of apoptosis. This can be done by determining the stage specific structures and proteins associated with fluorescence labels. Number of apoptosis detection assays include annexin 5, caspase and tunnel assays. We have come to the end of the session. I hope you have all understood about the cell growth and cell viability of the animal cell culture. In the upcoming session, we will see about the cell culture media and its types. Thank you.